Welcome to the Outside the Business Boxes podcast, where we're talking about how to ignite your business today for the future using systems for everything you do in your business to make your life, your employees' lives, and your customers' lives easier for you to ultimately enjoy your business and, of course, make more money. I'm your host, Chad Murray.
Thank you for joining me here at Outside the Business Box podcast. I am Chad Murray, your host. Thank you for joining me on another journey of my podcast after last week's debacle of a 2.0 podcast. Let me tell you what happened to me last week when I had recorded that and why it was so sloppy. Number one, didn't have my computer, so I had to muffle through another podcast without my computer and do that. Number two, I was sleep deprived from the week before of taking care of my wife with COVID, and I mean it was a 2 weeks of some real mental anguish that I had with trying to not get COVID, and then I was so sleep deprived that I'm so sorry. So anyway, we're going to move forward with an excellent, awesome podcast today. Let me tell you what we're going to talk about today. Systems, mindset, and trouble. This is how you grow a business and get it to where you want it to never stop moving forward. So I have a little a video that I have made. I have a marketing slash business coach that's coaching me, and they're doing a done for me type advertising thing through LinkedIn. And if you are a LinkedIn connection with mine, you may have gotten say where I said hello to you, whatever, and then I send you a video. And this is the video we sent. You can see it on YouTube, but you can hear it right now. This is like my little thing. All right now, what I'm doing is I'm going after larger companies and marketing companies to coach them, and I'll still coach anybody. So I'm not niching myself here. I said what I'm going after is a little bit bigger audience and a little bit different. But I would coach someone that's good to be coached no matter what they are. If they have the mindset, systems, and the trouble personality that I'm going to teach them to be. So no further ado, let me play this little video. I've had a bunch of people message me back. They liked the video. Of course, they were people that I don't coach and stuff like that. But here we go. Here it is.
Is your business still doing exactly what it's been doing the year before, or barely growing or scaling? Listen, I took Steve. They're from New York City with Hosio Marketing Agency. They, after 14 years, were doing business around $100,000 a month. Not too shabby. Started working with me. They did their first $500,000 a month last month, and they're shooting to the moon to do $8 million this year. Okay, then there's Mike's Mobile. Mike. I took Mike. They were a $3.5 million business when I started working with them. Now they just did their first $1 million a month after working with me over a year. So if you want to achieve results like this, there's 3 things you got to do. Number one, we got to work on the systems you have now. The reason why you're stuck partially is because you're working in outdated systems that aren't what the next level systems are going to get you. We got to get the next level systems. And it doesn't matter what agency you're with, we will start getting those right systems for your company that work good with you. Number 2, we got to get your mindset right. You got to realize there are things that you can achieve that you don't think possible. And we're going to do it. We're going to start shooting for the moon. And thirdly, we're going to get yourself in trouble. We're going to get you to start doing things you never thought were possible. And as we do all 3 things, guess what? Your business is going to start growing fast, right where you want it, and as fast as you want, and start scaling and making more money. Okay, how do I know all this works? Well, I took a construction service business in Texas, and I started it from scratch and scaled it to over 5 million, and I'm 4x larger than the next biggest company. How did I do it? I did all 3 things. So if this is something you're interested in, go ahead here and message me here on LinkedIn, and I'll be glad to take your call, and we'll talk about how to scale your business.
Okay, so that's essentially my coaching model of how I help other people grow their business. Now, there's no particular I've had some guys that didn't work out when I coached them, because they expected me to have like a book system or something that, step 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, I don't work that way. I've never worked from a book. I don't work that way. The way I coach and consult and mentor is I get it. I need to get to know your business over about a month to 2 months. A lot of talking, a lot of listening, a lot of questions. You ask me questions, I do that. And then we start working on the systems, you know. But while I'm doing that, what you got to realize, I'm working on your mindset. And so getting the mind right to be able to do this is got to be really, it can't be overnight. If I just come in here and pump you up and get you going, you're going to fail because you're not ready to really get the mind right to continue the mindset. Mindset is like going to the gym, man. You're either fat or skinny or whatever. You're either going to lose weight and build muscle, or you're going to be skinny and just start building muscle. It takes time. The mind is the same way. I just can't just say that I switched your mind on and we're going to keep it that way. No, we're going to start working on systems first. I'm going to see what I'm really my first month or two interviewing you to see if you're going to continue with me. And I'd say I've only had a couple of surprises over 100 companies that I've coached that stopped using me or whatever for whatever reason. But it's because their mindset wasn't quite there, and then they didn't start work on the systems correctly, and just whatever, right? So I'm going to start with systems and mindset, and then once we get to that point, now we're going to start getting you in trouble. We're going to start getting you to start taking some risk in your mind. Here's the funny thing, they're never a risk for me. I know they're not a risk, but I have to make you think it's okay to go get yourself in trouble, because you're either going to do well with something new that you try, or you're not, and you're going to learn to fix it and move on. So even if you fail trying to get yourself in trouble, you're going to learn what to do next and pivot. It's all about the pivot. I mean, so I had a guy not long ago that was coaching me. Me and him clearly did not get along real well. I mean, I took him on and we came down to the hiring thing, and he said he's going to hire one guy. And I said, no, hire 3. And he gave me this funny look. And I'm just like, no, you have to hire 3. More than likely, one's not going to work out, or you're going to bank too much on one, and what would happen to your business if you hired 3 good people? I mean, now you have 3 good people, and so what better way to grow a business and then all of a sudden have people that are doing well that now you can get more work done. And so it's funny how people, and I don't want to pivot too far from where I'm at now, but I will say this. The systems and people are your business. That's it, right? That's what your business is. The people and the systems and whatever product you put out, service or product or whatever. Well, you're never going to either be a better company if you don't hire better people and invest in the old people you have too as well. But I'm just saying, you can't stay at, let's just say you're at $1 million right now. You're not going to 2 million with the same people. And maybe you have a core of great people, but you can't do 2 million with, let's say, the 10 employees you have. You need 14 employees to do another million, so you got to add 4 people, and the rule of thumb is you got to hire 5 to get 1 good one. So that's why I always tell people, hire 3. I mean, hire 3. And so I'll tell you a funny story. So one of our biggest problems is always at this time of year hiring. And John, my general manager, he gets a little, he's never done really well at this. It's like his kryptonite. Hire. And so we took the hiring away from the managers, and we have my daughter Madeline now do it at Masters. And then she does it all until she doesn't do the final, like, yes, you're hired. She does the preamble, the talking to them, the qualifying them, and gets all that there, and then sends them over to the managers. And then they pretty much, you're there. If you make it through her, you're pretty much hired. There might be a little bit of a reason that you might not get hired, but pretty much you're going to get hired. Well, John, every year at this time of year, we'll stop hiring because we start getting busy, because he's just too busy to do anything. And so he actually told Madeline last week to hold off, and I found out, and not through even through Madeline, I don't remember who, and I'm just like, whoa, no, I know we're overstaffed. He's, well, I don't have. So I talked to him. He goes, well, I don't have anywhere to put them right now. I said, I don't care. Then you figured out in our in our new yard with that we have all this work to do at our new property, 5-acre property. I said, then hire them and start having them build chimney walls. I don't care. Whatever you do, we need people. And if we have to wait until October, even into November, well, it's too late. Like we've done every year. Hire, hire, hire. And so we're well over 50 people now at Masters. And as much as it's getting myself in trouble, Masters in trouble, I know at the end of February, we will have the best year ever, even if we have a crap year, because we have more people. And so, I mean, because more people equals more money, more profits. I mean, you really have to look at it like that. You don't, there are some positions you add that do not make you more money, but technicians make you more money. Even helpers, they get more money done. They make you more money. And so the rule of thumb is I want as many employees as I can for when our system or our season begins. So anyway, that's the trouble thing. So, I mean, you have to get yourself in trouble. But let's go back to systems. Let's do this systematically here now. So systems, obviously the systems that you have right now are not the systems that are going to get you, to your next million or next 3 million, whatever it is. And so you have to really internalize, okay, what's the most important for me to switch up that's going to help me start? And everybody always wants, when they talk to me, they want to start off with something big or, it's like, no. Let's start off something small, because systems, generally when you start working with me, you're the one doing it. So if you're the one doing it, you're also hopefully you're out of the field. But if you're not, we need to make sure that you have time to work on it. If you're an agency, like a marketing agency or somewhere bigger like that, well, everybody needs to not be, you need to be to that point of the commitment part of where somebody or you has to commit to a new system, perfect it, implement it, and manage it. Doesn't matter what it is. And a lot of times people want to go with a big one like Connect Team or something like that. It's like, no. You don't, like, I actually told a group, I have a group of clients that are all in a group coaching session versus the one-on-one. And I told them a month ago I wasn't going to show them Connect Team yet because they're not ready. You're just not ready for Connect Team because you don't have time to work on it. None of you have time to work on this. It's such a big project. So it would solve a lot of your problems, but it's also going to give you a big problem until you get it implemented. And it can take a year to get Connect Team completely running properly, and especially if you are still focusing on, some type of technician role in your company, Connect Team's not going to work for you right now. You need someone that you can, or yourself, that can dedicate, time to working that system and getting it all implemented and blah, blah, blah. So, I mean, but there's other systems, like I'll tell you one system that blows me away that a lot of people are stuck and hung up on is the scripting. I can't tell you enough how, if you just sit down for one night and talk out and write it all out into, even if you talk to your phone and not type it out, type your scripting and do your basic stuff. Just do the basic, like how you answer the phone into your main service, whatever your main service or product is. Go right into that and script that all the way through. And then any question that could occur over the phone, that generally happens, all the way to the point of, hello, this is whoever. Hello, this is, hello, this is Chad with Master Services. Are you calling about a chimney sweep or masonry project? And that's how we answer, start the conversation. And so we ask a question so this is how you write a script. Every script page ends with a question. So what would you like to schedule? Or a question about whatever your service or product is. That's how you do it until you get to the page of schedule this job. So that's how you write a script. And then you'd go all the way through that. I use Stonely. There's lots of other apps out there. Stonely seems to be the cheapest and the best. I like it. And that's an easy project to start with, because you want to make sure that the call center is saying the same thing as the guys out in the field. And that's how you start doing it. If you're gonna have a system, you want to make sure that the whole company's on board. And so this is also with these type of systems, you got to look at it as a wheel. When I take over a company to start coaching you, is most of this what I get is an old wagon wheel with spokes, out. Well, I got to rebuild the wheel, and I'm not rebuilding it symmetrical. I'm gonna rebuild it a piece here, a piece there, a piece there, to get it. And I have to go at your speed, what you want to do, and what you can do, and we go from there. Now, who's my ideal person when it comes to starting work with me that work on systems? Someone who is going to spend, I'm going to say, at least 5 hours a week on whatever we talk about. That's an hour a day. If you spend an hour a day on whatever I talked with you last week on a system, an hour a day, that 8 o'clock at night to 9 o'clock at night, or right before you go to bed, maybe get up early or an early riser, from 5 to 6 in the morning, or 6 a.m. to 7 a.m., whatever, work on your business that 1 hour for what we discussed. When you do that, your whole business will completely explode. I don't care, even if you're out and you're not a technician, and if you work on whatever we are working on in our sessions, you're going to find it's addicting, and you're going to work more on it, and you're going to watch your business really start to go. So what do we have to do? That comes to number 2, mindset. What is the mindset that I have to get you in? I have to get you to understand that you're capable of doing stuff that you feel right now is not capable. It's impossible. And make you understand and realize that the impossible happens when you make it probable, because you're working on the business. That's what it means to work on your business. That's what it takes and entails you to get your business to whatever level you want it at. When I hear people say that they don't want to be a big company, they want to stay small, they want to stay booked out for months and all that, that's fine. That's fine. But they're also a slave to the business, and they're literally one accident away from their whole business crumbling. They just are. I mean, think about this. What if you built, okay, let's say you're the guy that does all the sales in your business. Okay. It doesn't matter if you're a marketing agency, a chimney sweep, but you're the one guy that does all the sales, and everyone else does the work. So you have, let's just say, 5 other people doing the work that you sell. Okay. Well, can you not hear the bottleneck in that? I mean, now go find yourself one other person to sell. That way you can work on your business while the other people are doing the work. You probably have to hire more people to do the work, because now you have double people selling. The thing about scaling a business is this: you get to do what you want to do, when you want to do it, how much you want to do it. That's true freedom. So if you want to be like me and not work at the business at all, you can do that. You want to be like somebody that literally just can take 4 or 5 sales calls a week and go and hammer that, do that. If you want it, if you're a Mason and you build your business and you want to go do a project, go do a project, and then take a couple weeks off managing the company. You get to do what you want if you start getting everything in place. It's freedom, and the freedom that you want to do becomes less headaches when everybody around you is doing stuff that doesn't rely on you. So the business that relies on you is the business that is evidentially always going to be evidentially. What is that? That's a chatism. It's inevitably, that was the word I was trying to say. Inevitably, it dies when you die. I mean, it will. Even if you try to pass it off to somebody, more than likely that business dies. And hey, and that's okay. That's what you built your business to do, and that's fine. I built my business for 2 things. Sorry, I had to take a drink. Either sell it or let it go way beyond me and keep it. And I've been torn on both. Doesn't matter. If I ever sell it, it won't be for 5 to 10 years. But if I did, I'm going to get good money out of it because it runs itself. And I say running itself. Of course, it doesn't run itself. it runs without the ownership, me and my wife, playing a role in the day-to-day operations. So yeah, I can go back to masters. I can quit coaching and doing this podcast today and go back to masters and do whatever I want. I could go into sales. I could go lay brick. I could lay stone. I could work in the sheet metal shop. Do what the hell I want. It's my business. I can do it. And so, if you want that, believe me, I started out with my wife and I, and within 6 months had 1 or 2 employees. So I mean, I started out with nothing, and built it up to what we have now, and it's growing. And so it's possible. So mindset, it's possible. And then part of the mindset comes to go get yourself into trouble. So what does that really mean? Like I said earlier, it's like trouble means I started with the hiring earlier, but trouble is you going to do something that you're not sure you'll be able to do it because it's bigger in your mind than you ever thought you could do before. And then you go do it. And then all of a sudden it's like, that wasn't that hard. I did that. Okay, great. Do it again. And again. Now all of a sudden it's not even hard. It's not even trouble anymore. Okay. So as we're building the business, okay, something bigger comes along. Well, let's do it. Let's spend some money that we feel uncomfortable with, and let's go do it. So you do it. And that's really so. And as you keep getting yourself in trouble, your mindset has to keep going, and you start to have to get better systems. It's just a vicious cycle. And I don't say vicious. I think it's a beautiful cycle. Not a vicious, it's a beautiful cycle of always upgrading your systems, always changing your mindset, and always getting yourself in trouble. Now, here's the thing. I've been complacent before. I was complacent from 2015 to 2018. Went 4 or 5 years of being totally complacent and stuck at around the $2.5 to $3 million mark. And I thought I was trying to build the business, but I wasn't. I really wasn't. I was letting it be on autopilot, And now, here we are finally figuring stuff out, getting ourselves in trouble, changing our mindset, and upgrading our systems. Wow. See how that works? That's how it works. So let's talk about Hoseo and Mike's Mobile Den Defenders now. And this is simple. So when I took over Hoseo, and I say take over, I'd say take them on as client. They were referred to me. And by Ageless Chimney, the guys in New York that I coach, they referred him to me for me to coach them, not for me to use them as marketing. So I took them on, I pitched them, took them on, and Steve and I hit it off right away. Steve is awesome. Steve has a unique story. He was on Steve Orndell. He was on a couple of weeks back. And all I really did with Steve was, because I know marketing enough that I know what I want as a client, and I know how to do a lot of marketing stuff. So I didn't teach him how to market at all, but I taught him how to go get him in trouble. I opened his eyes up to what his client wants and needs, which really, really, so they have, so you're in a marketing agency, you have what's called churn rate. And so people that have repetitive business, what's your churn? So the churn is, well, I had 10 clients this month and I started next month with 8. I had to replace those 2, so that your churn rate's 2, right? So you're always losing clients and gaining them, blah, blah, blah. Well, in that case, you have a 20. So if I lose 2 a month, I got a 20% churn rate that I've got to replace every month. And so that's a number that they track. And I was like, and I'm not saying that their churn rate was 20%, but their churn rate was at an uncomfortable spot for them. And I said, so we were just talking about it. And here's the beauty of working with me. My mind starts going when I'm working on a problem. I'm a big problem solver. And I'm like, okay, churn rate. So I took it to a level that they had never done before. And I'm like, okay, so churn rate. So you guys are looking in-house at what to do to reduce your churn rate. And their system is sell more. They're salesmen. Sell more. I said, well, okay, yes, always sell more, true. But why don't we just reduce your churn rate by thinking what the client and why they're quitting. So we went down this journey into thinking of why the people are quitting. And it came to me as I was thinking and looking at them like, well, you guys are a marketing agency. You're like selling insurance the first 6 months. I'm paying you a shitload of money and I see nothing for it. Right. So I said to Steve, okay, let's do two things. Number one, quick win. You need to get your clients a quick win. Take over their AdWords account, do something to get them more calls right away. First month, do that. So they started thinking about that. Number two is, what do I see? So if you take a snapshot of where I am right now digitally on all the platforms for my rankings, take that snapshot and then every month give me a new snapshot to compare it to where I started and send me a report every month on that. Now, all these marketing agencies tell you that they do that. Well, all they do is they pull up your Google Analytics and share it. But the problem is us lay people don't get it. And all I give a shit about is I'm paying you $5,000 a month. How come I'm not getting 50 more calls than I did last year this month? That's what matters to me. I want to see more calls that result in revenue. Otherwise, I mean, you're just a complete unicorn to me. I just keep paying you because I'm just scared if I don't, my business will stop. That's the mindset of most customers, right? So I looked at Steve and Bosco as partners and said, well, we need to prove it to these people that what you're doing, especially in this kind of erroneous time of 6 months where nothing really happens, get them a quick win and start showing them what's going on with their rankings. Because they may not be resulting calls yet because it's just they were on page 7 and now they're on page 4, and climbing to 2 to 1, blah, blah, blah. And everything matters, when you're hiring a marketing agency, that I want to see results. So we did that and got their churn rate cut in half. They started working on a big reporting thing and it has literally, it has literally changed their business. Now they're smart. They're doing hiring. They hire more people. There's the big thing, and I'm going to go over to Den Defenders now, Mike's Mobile. What's the difference between a company like me, them, and maybe some of you listening? We hire the shit out of people. Hear me out. We hire, and we hire a lot. I've just learned this in the last 2-3 years. Now I scaled up to 4 million almost last year, and I was hiring, but I didn't really get the hiring until this year. Hire. And guess what? More people bring more money. There's the difference. Mike did $1 million a month ago in sales. And guess how many people Mike's hired in the last 6 months? I can promise you it's more than you flip your mind on. I don't know the exact number, but it is a lot of people. And I'm not talking about even replacing people. We're just talking adding people. And so, of course, kind of going with Hosio and Den Defenders is, what do? They also have their marketing right. And so, so they work these systems, this mindset, and then they do with the hiring is they go get out in trouble. They go get in trouble. And so the next thing about trouble I will say is this: do work that you never thought you could do and just do it. Start bidding work that's bigger than you and start doing it. Worst case scenario is you got to hire someone else to help you out. So what? Do bigger jobs. Do the biggest job you can possibly do right now and go find something twice as big and do it. Get yourself in trouble. Okay. So the why. Why is who's my ideal client? And what I mean by my ideal client, these are people that are going to scale their business. Number one, they're implementers. They're going to take whatever they learn, whether from me or someone else, and they're going to implement it in their business. Number two is they ask a lot of questions and they listen. And number three is they work at a speed that is faster than most people because they are obsessed with doing something with their business. So people that are obsessed with stuff. Now, obsession is not healthy. Obsession, is, probably a bad thing when it comes to, because if you're obsessed with growing a business, you're probably not spending enough time with your family. Probably this. But there's a time in your life that you need to be obsessed with your business. And I would say the first 10 years is it. The first 10 years of being obsessed. Now, you do have to, and this is something I did not do. I wish I had spent more time, and I wasn't a bad father at all by any means, but a better father. You know, we did a lot of stuff wrong, a lot of stuff accidentally right, you know, and we grew our business and we struggled a lot. But I wish I had gone on more vacations with our kids, and we did do Disneyland twice, which of course Disneyland is one of my big stories that got me in trouble in a bad way, not in a good way. If you listen to other podcasts, make it short. I'll just say, I'll tell the story, the elevator story pitch on this one. Pretty much, when we had been planning a long Disney trip, I've been paying for it for months, probably been paying for it for a year. So it was one of those, you know, we had 3 kids at the time, and it was probably an $8,000 trip that back then I had to really, this is probably 14, 15 years ago now. I had to pay for it over a year to be able to go to it. Well, you know, in Texas, we were really slow in July and August that year. And I asked some guys to get laid off, and if they would, you know, just go away for a month and just be laid off for a month. And I had 2 guys said that they would. And during the time they were laid off, I went to Disney World. and that, yes, I had planned it. I had no idea when I planned it, I had no idea that was going to happen, you know, but don't go to Disney World when you've laid people off. It's just, you know, it's one of those culture things. No shit. I mean, but the timing was bad. It's just one of those things. But I mean, it is what it is. I mean, would I do it again? Of course I would, because I bought the thing before. It was what it was. But I mean, I wish I would have been a better business person before the plan of events happened. And so, but you have to think about people are watching what you're doing, right? So here I asked 2 guys to take off. They all know we're going to Disney World too, by the way. I mean, it's something that we had talked about. You know, my wife was still working in the business, and we talked about it, and we're so excited to go to Disney World. Then, you know, 3 or 4 weeks before we go, I asked people, you know, anyone in the business, they wanted to a voluntary layoff for about a month or 2. Yeah. So anyway, not the best kind of trouble I wanted to get into at the time, because both of those people weren't working for me 3 or 4 months later. They had quit. And so regardless of good or bad people, it's just not something I would wish upon anyone to do. Think a little smarter about what you're doing. So, okay. So let's turn over to Mike and Mike's mobile. What I do with him. Mike's brilliant, by the way. He is a guy that's intense on working on our business, working on his business. He and working honestly, this is what's great about coaching. You don't have to be the smartest guy in the room to coach somebody, because you got to know when to ask the right questions. I mean, I really do think I could coach the president, because I know how. I'm very good at asking the right questions and thinking outside the box, hence the name of the company, you know, outside the business box. And so, but with Mike, I mean, I just literally would listen and sometimes talk too much with an answer, but then he would come back and say this. And what's cool about Mike is funny. When I coach him a lot, we would talk, and he wouldn't, not necessarily not like my answer or something, but he would go, no, that's not for me. And then we would just pivot on to something else, you know? So I would have an answer, and he like, no, but sometimes he would like, you know, morph it into a hybrid of something that we talked about and blah, blah, blah. And so, but he was always, and still is to this day, always working on his business, yet he's not a role in his business. And so I think with Mike, I mean, I worked a little bit with systems and helped him out. Well, we did work a lot with systems at first. And then, but I mean, you don't have a client for almost 3 years by just giving him systems. So it's just, we bounce stuff off each other constantly all the time to help grow each other's business. And so we're mentors to each other. He's no longer a paying client of mine. We just literally, he helps me as much as I help him. And that's where we go with this. So the reason I tell you what Mike and I's relationship is about, because that's when I talk to other people, when you look at Mark Stoner, if you're not in the chimney business, he's the second largest chimney guy in the industry, and probably either the most beloved or I guess hated to some people in the business. I don't know why. I don't know how you could ever hate Mark Stoner, but anyway, he what's his superpower? I mean, his superpower literally to me is the need for knowledge and how he can do that, and how he has learned to take what he says, being a bad business person, into a good person, and just succeeded in that. But he's constantly, still to this day, learning and still upgrading his systems. Like I helped him implement in Connect Team. And then he came, so we had a meeting the other day because we're building a software company together the other night, and we were talking about our software company. He wanted to show me something he had done with Connect Team, him and his team had done. And it was a workflow thing. And I was like, shit, that's awesome. We have a different workflow that we use. So we don't use Connect Team for our workflow, but he was showing me his workflow. We're talking about a $14-15 million guy. I'm a $5 million guy, and I'm helping him with systems. And then he shows me stuff that he's doing with the system, that he's taken from me and gone from there. So, I mean, yeah. So what's his superpower? Like I said, he never stops working on knowledge and gaining knowledge. I've become that way. Mike Fazy is that way. So it's another one of those things that if you're scaling your company, what do you do? Are you literally just stagnant on what you are? Or are you literally reading more books? Are you talking to more people? How many people do you know? I mean, and do you talk to? Okay. One of Mike Fazy's superpowers is how many people he's gone in 3 years to get to know in the industry and outside of our industry even. I mean, he's gone to Tommy Mello's place and looked at that. He's been to other businesses. He's met people in the chimney industry that I either don't know or barely know, and keeps, so there is something to growing your business that's outside of you. And I'm not exactly like that. I mean, I like to do books and read, and I do listen to podcasts and stuff. But I mean, there's something between Stoner and Mike Fazy that they, with the people they meet, they get from those people and learn from them and implement and stuff like that. Now, I'm at a smaller level than theirs because I quite frankly don't like a lot of people. I like to keep my profile down a little bit. But it seems weird. I don't like to be around in the big crowds. I like speaking in front of big crowds, but I'm more of a 4 or 5 guys sitting on a deck drinking a beer, dude. And let's talk business. I don't like being in 10 group thing. And I got to get real. I mean, I'm not going to say I don't like it. It takes me a while to get comfortable. I got to find my space. When I'm with 4 or 5 people, I can find my space pretty quick and be myself. Now, I'm always myself, but I'm holding back in a big group. So anyway, who cares? Who gives a shit? Let's get back to the idea here: systems, mindset, and trouble. That's your blueprint, people. That's the blueprint. Systems, mindset, and trouble. I'm awesome at helping you with all of those. And so even if you don't hire me, that is my secret sauce into getting you to build a better business, and a business that hopefully does not rely on you. And whether you let it rely on you or not is up to you. And so guys, that is my podcast, and just systems, mindset, and trouble, baby. If you are interested, now here we go into the infomercial. If you are interested in talking to me and you want to come work with me, all you got to do is reach out to me. We'll set up a time. We'll talk for free, and we'll see if we're a good fit together. And if you're an implementer that I can help your mindset and get you into some trouble, we're going to explode your business. It's just that simple. So give me a call, message me on Messenger, call me 972-877-3585, or you can just rewind that. So I have to repeat it, or you can email me at outsidethebusinessbox@gmail.com. So it's that simple. So guys, that's my time. Have a great week.